It says it's being live streamed.
All right, I guess we are live. Well, welcome back to Utah Sports. We're going to be drafting an underdog fantasy team tonight. With me today is Eric Brown, and we're excited to go ahead and dive in. We're going to be covering underdog and best ball best practices today, kind of some of the basics, because Eric's been playing fantasy football for a long time, but he's new with tournaments. While I'm pulling everything up, Eric, any particular players that you think are good targets for this year?
I've been leaning towards wide receiver. It's really like kind of a change in trends from traditional leagues, or even traditional leagues, I guess. It's really kind of shifted from like running back focused to wide receiver focused. Um, it's a lot of the kind of the big names there trying to get a top wide receiver early.
Yeah, kind of similar to how the NFL themselves has shifted, right? They don't seem to pay or value running backs like they do receivers anymore. And so it makes sense that we follow that trend for our fantasy football teams. All right, so I got our underdog account up here. And we are going to get logged in. We're going to play in this tournament, MMG. I'm not sure what this tournament, what MMG means. They must be some sort of sponsor, but it's $30,000 to first place, and it is a $5 entry. And they have 30-second clocks on this. This one over here has 20-second clocks. I think we'll need our full time while we're on the live stream. While we're here, let's just go ahead and check out the chat and just say hi to anyone who might be watching. As always with Utah Sports, what makes our show unique is if you'd like to be in the show, if you'd like to be here up in Zoom and draft with us, we'd love to have you join us. What we do every time is we drop the Zoom link into the chat, and our goal is to build a community and build a group of friends and that wants to draft. So if you're interested in drafting, this is us right here up in Zoom. This is our the chat. And if you're interested in drafting with us, we'd love to have you join us. Just go ahead and leave us a message in the chat. We'll be keeping an eye on that as we go. And we'll have a lot of fun together. All right, so back over to Underdog to get us logged in here. We're going into MMG Best Ball. We're going to click enter. Oh, I got $5 in there. And we are loading and we are in. All right, so we are waiting for this draft to fill. It's got 4 more people until it fills, and then we'll know what our draft spot is, and we will have a 60-second countdown until things get started to kind of set our strategy. So like you said, we want to go for one of these receivers early on. Like to build out receivers. In this format, receivers are especially valuable. I like to have 5 of my first 7 picks be receivers. So basically that gives us 2 detours. We have to be very strategic with what we do with those detours. And there's an interesting part. So this, what we're seeing here on the left is the ADP, the average draft position. There's an interesting kind of segmenting of this that happens, as you'll see here. Once we get into about here, actually this is ADP. Once we get here, it's almost all becomes all running backs. From about the Aaron Jones line on, there's really only one running back, and I don't really like JMO. I don't think he's proven anything yet. So there's a lot of good running backs. Like all these guys are starting running backs. So we're gonna, like, when you hit that point in the draft is when you want to be getting your second running back, because there's not going to be anything left but running backs. So generally that's kind of our planning ahead, right? We've got in the first 7 rounds, we've got 5 picks. We can make 2 detours. We could get quarterback, tight end, running back. We'll just kind of see what values fall to us and kind of play off of whatever the room is giving us in here.
Now, would you grab McCaffrey if you had the first or second pick? There's obviously an outlier from a running back position, kind of a combo running back slash wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean McCaffrey. So this is half point PPR. McCaffrey last year had 357 points. CeeDee Lamb, 335. So it's actually pretty close. They're scoring in this format. He's not that much of a clear consensus number one. And sometimes just structurally it's better to get the receiver at number one. So if I only had one team to draft in this, or very few teams to draft in this, I would probably be taking CD. Just personally, I like the younger player. 28-year-old running backs who have a lot of wear on their tires and has an injury history going back through his career, are pretty risky. What do you think about that? You like in your league? Let's just see. We're on the clock here. At pick number 3, you like CMC?
Yeah, I'd like him. I mean, it's a great point with injury history. It's a big gamble, but the differential between him and like the next best running back is pretty significant. So it's always something I look at is what's the differential when you're picking? Is there another running back or wide receiver if you were to go one
Yeah,
position versus the other?
yeah, exactly. So we can see here's the countdown clock. This draft starts in 24 seconds. Love to get. We're going to be in spot 3, so our choice is probably going to be between Tyreek Hill and Jamar Chase. Love to get your take on that, but just wanted to finish on what you just said because I think it's an important lesson for everyone. Is that your goal in drafting a team is to build the best team. It's not necessarily to take the best player in a vacuum at any given spot, right? To Eric's point, there might be a time when Joe Mixon's on the board who, scored more points than the receivers that are available last year, but that doesn't mean he's necessarily more valuable to your overall team build. What do you like in terms of either Tyreek or Chase?
I lean towards Chase. I think just a little bit more certainty from a quarterback position. Um,
Yeah.
Hard to go wrong with either guy, to be honest.
Yeah, I love to hear you say that because I have been big on Jamar Chase. We're on the clock here. We're just going to use our time to talk through this pick for Chase. Much better. So in this system, you always want to draft a quarterback that goes with your receiver. And I don't like Tua. Tua led the league in passing yards last year, but still didn't finish top 12 because he doesn't run it all. So I don't really want Tua. Thus, I don't want Tyreek Hill. As long as I wouldn't turn him down over bad players, but over a guy like Chase. Also, in the playoff schedule, Cincinnati week 17, which is the championship, that's when the whole millions of dollars is on the line. They play Denver. Remember what Miami did to Denver last year? They put up 70 points on them. So that's a very, very favorable matchup. Week 17, Miami plays at Cleveland. I do not trust Tua in the cold snow of Cleveland at all. So those are the reasons that I like Chase here. Another great thing with Chase is, so we're going to be looking to get Burrow, and Burrow goes really late. His ADP is 91. And so we're going to switch over here to the draft board. We'll be able to get our quarterback hopefully here at spot 94 if nobody snipes us. I love that. The 8th round, right? So remember I said I want 5 receivers out of the first 7. If our plans to get our quarterback in round 8, it's like we squeezed an extra awesome pick into this lineup. So I really like Cincinnati builds. It'd be neat to see if T. Higgins falls to us in the 4th. He's a very common player that goes right in this round range, and we could build out a double Cincinnati stack.
Yep.
In this type of system, you want to build stacks of teams and players because you're just hoping that team explodes in those weeks.
Yep. Picks are like flying off the board. A couple
Yeah,
of running backs taken. after McCaffrey. So, but
People tend
mostly
to
wide
have their
receiver.
picks pretty much ready. Also, the first round is very chalk, meaning everyone takes players exactly where they're ranked. And
Yeah.
the reason why is even though I like Lamb better than CMC, I don't want to have zero CMC in my portfolio. And if I take Lamb first, I'm never going to get CMC because he doesn't usually drop. So I have to take CMC, even though my rankings don't have him as the better pick there, because I want to have a diversified portfolio that includes most of these players in the first round.
Yeah, I see Puka went off the board. He's someone that I think is going to have a big year this year, going to carry the momentum forward.
Yeah, what do you think of Cooper Cup's going to do this year?
You know, I think he's going to be second fiddle, to be honest. Coming off the injuries, I think Pickett kind of took the reins last year. Kind of a mix of the two, but
Yeah.
I think I've heard great things about the conditioning, off-season conditioning for Puka. So I think just younger, both very talented, but maybe less of an injury risk versus Cup.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I don't see any scenario where both Puka and Cup can finish as top receivers. Like it's one or the other, and where they're both being drafted. Like Cup goes right around where our next pick is going to be, but I don't really like him there because I'm a Puka fan, right? And if you believe in Puka, if you're taking Puka, you shouldn't also be taking Cup. There's not room for them both to smash. I think Stafford is a weak link in all of this. He could get hurt and take the whole group down. And Puka was awesome in the playoffs. They were both out there in the playoffs. Everything was on the line, and everything went to Puka in that playoff game. So I'm with you. I think I'm all in on Puka. And it's funny, people are like, I got to find this year's Puka. I'm like, well, what if this year's Puka is Puka? And you're all doubting him because Cup is back.
Yeah.
So I don't want Cup here. We'll start to see what's on the board for us here. I love A-Chain in this explosive environment. I think we might be able to get him in the third. Our choices at this point by ADP. I'm not, I don't like the older guys, Devontae Adams. I'm not as high on. Waddle's the second guy on his team. I don't love that. Evans is a little older. I don't love that. Devonta Smith, another second guy. Who do you like best from this group?
You know, A-Chain was pretty explosive last year. So for best ball, I mean, I'm new to best ball, but I mean, he put
Yeah,
up huge week. So, um, someone to think about.
yeah. I think, yeah, we'll put A-Chain in our queue and lock him in now. Start thinking about which one of these receivers you want with our next pick because it's going to go around the turn pretty quick here. I love A-Chain in this format. If he gets hurt for 4 games and misses and gets a 0, that's okay. So this computer just plugs in somebody else from our lineup. So in best ball, there's no downside. You want a guy that can give you a 40-point week, and that's A-Chain. There's not a lot of guys. I don't love, he's still in that same week 17 game at Cleveland. I don't love that, but I think that there's enough upside there that he's a great pick. I'm trying to get more A-Chain in my profile. He does slide to the third round sometimes because it's so receiver heavy here. So looking at this group here, and we would want to start to think of correlation now as far as so A-Chain plays Cleveland, we've been talking about, right? So in round 4, we'd look at maybe Amari Cooper, and we'd be hoping if that game goes off, if we bet on A-Chain, like we want to start thinking if A-Chain's crushing it against Cleveland, what else is happening? Well, probably Cleveland's throwing the ball to Judy and Amari, right? So let's try to double down on the bets we've made. That's how you want to start to think about the mindset for this. What do you like of these receivers that are left here?
Been reading good things about Neighbors. You get that rookie risk, but certainly a lot of potential coming in, kind of right in this like ADP range.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I like
yeah,
that. I'm glad you said that. I've been taking a lot of Neighbors. I like a guy who's the number one guy for targets on their team. And
yeah,
I don't think Neighbors has a lot of competition. Um, if we're betting on Neighbors, we're betting on Daniel Jones. So he'll go on to our board as a guy to maybe grab late. I don't love Jones, but he does run the ball. So we could be looking at Jones as our as our late round second quarterback. Ideally, we get Burrow and Jones. So we want to be kind of planning ahead as we build this team. Giants play the Colts in week 17. I think that has the potential to be a high scoring game. Would like to add a Colts receiver, right? Again, we want a picture. If Neighbors is going off, what are the Colts doing? They're probably throwing it now and trying to catch up. So maybe we look to add, AD Mitchell or someone from there down the road. So we'll grab Neighbors here. So this is our start. We got a one running back, two receivers. As we come back down around to our pick in the fourth, I love this spot, but I feel like it's a big advantage to be in the top five this year. From here on out, I don't like any of these players that are left at this point, and that's what you're getting in the back end of the third round. To me, there's a big drop off after DJ Moore. I love DJ Moore. I love Neighbors. I kind of like Metcalf. These are all the number one receivers on their team, and after that, it really starts to drop off.
Yeah, you get, Pittman had a great year last year with Richardson coming back.
Yeah, I mean Pittman, he's at 195, right? We saw CD was at 335.
He's
Um,
not as explosive, but really a target hog last year.
he's got a lot more competition this year. With AD. I like the other receiver there too, Josh Downs. Um, I'm I don't to me, Pittman, I would never take him in the third round. If he falls to the fourth, I take him. I love him in PPR. But I don't like a lot of Pittman. If we get Pittman, then we're targeting Anthony Richards. If he dropped to us here, we would take him in the fourth. He won't. He's going to go right now. He's a top player on the board, right? This is ranked in order of where they'll go. So when it gets to us, Amari Cooper has been going higher. He is older, and I don't really love Cleveland anyways. But if he falls to us, we should probably take him because he is in that range. If T is there, that doubles down on our Cincinnati bet. That's good for us. ETN and Kirk are there. What do you think of Jacksonville passing game and Christian Kirk?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a competition there, but he's a talented player.
Yeah. Yeah, I look at Kirk's 2022 and I'm like, this is his ceiling. He was the main guy there. So 200 points, which would be good, but not great. I don't think he's like a big splat. He's not going to score an 80-yard touchdown type guy. I do like the Jacksonville offense overall. I think that they'll bounce back. So let's see how many more picks until 7 picks away. We still got a ways to go. We got Josh Allen and Hurts going in the fourth now. That's kind of crazy to me.
Good value.
Yeah. The thing with Hurts is like both his receivers are gone already. And you do not want to have a naked quarterback, a quarterback without any of his receivers in this league, because you're setting yourself up to fail in week 17. So Hurts is like everyone. The reason Hurts falls is there's only 2 teams left that can even consider him, right? The team that has Devontae and the team that has AJ Brown.
Mm.
Josh Allen, his receivers are still out there, so you could take Josh Allen and then backstack his receivers. Interesting that Mahomes went before Josh Allen. I wonder what this guy is doing with his Mahomes team here. He's got Mahomes, Brees Hall, Olave, Pickens. So he's all over the place.
Yeah.
He's got nothing to stack with Mahomes. He's going to be dead in the water. I mean, with Mahomes, you can get his receivers later, I guess. So maybe he could still pull something out with that. I don't like to take a quarterback unless I have their receiver first, because then I know I have a stack. Like you're putting yourself at risk of getting sniped or having to really reach to get a receiver if you're trying to backstack your quarterback.
Was McBride the first? Well, Kelsey must have gone earlier. I'm just looking at the board.
Yeah, so it looks like McBride is gone, Kelsey's gone, Laporte is gone.
Yeah.
So Andrews and Kincaid are there. They usually make it around to the 5th. I like Kincaid. He's the younger guy. I mean, Andrews, has been hurt 2 years in a row. and he's getting older, and Zay is there now. It's a new offensive coordinator. I'm pretty down on Andrews.
What do we take? Hurts?
Oh crap, I wasn't paying attention and we took her.
I was looking at the clock and it clicked too quick before I could say anything.
Yeah, so now we're
But
gonna have to backstack Hurts. We'll have to grab Dallas Goddard in the later round, so we don't have a naked Hurts. It's
yeah,
so good. I mean, Hurts is the number one quarterback on my board, but I definitely and all the other guys we wanted were gone too. I
yeah,
would
it starts to become slimmer pickings at this point.
I wanted T. Higgins or Amari Cooper. There, I guess Cooper's long gone. I don't even
Yeah,
see it on here. All right, we're up next here.
yeah, yeah.
What do you think of Washington and Terry McLaurin?
I like McLaurin. You know, quarterback play. We don't have the quarterback, but
I
maybe
like Jaden. I mean, I think that this will be the best quarterback McLaurin's ever played with.
yeah,
I don't think McLaurin's great, but good. I guess we'll grab Kincaid here. This is like a teardrop. I don't really care for most of these receivers.
yeah,
Probably I like Jaden Reed the best out of that group. I'm for sure not taking Keenan Allen. He's old.
yeah.
I don't
I,
even really trust the Hollywood situation, you know?
yeah, I like Kincaid. I mean, I think that's a good move. There's a lot of targets that are freeing up in Buffalo, so I think he could be a difference maker at the tight end position.
So one of our goals in every draft is to get our players at a good ADP value. So Hertz here was 5 spots past value. A-Chain, we reached a little. That was still a good pick here, right? This was right at ADP. This is right at ADP.
Yeah,
If you draft right at ADP, then you're drafting what everyone else is drafting, and you're not making your team unique. It's going to be a lot harder for your team to win in the end. So you want to have a unique team, but you ideally want to have your team be unique because people fall to you. You don't want to make your team unique by reaching.
right.
All right, so we're two receivers. We really need another receiver this next pick when it comes back around to us in the fifth. Who do you like from this group we're looking at?
Um, yeah, I do like Godwin, but he's getting a little bit old. Some
Yeah,
incident there. Um,
he'll probably be gone. He's at the top of the list, and we got 11 picks to go. So we'll
yeah,
we'll probably more likely we'll be looking at like this group here.
yeah,
DeAndre will probably be gone. Watson might be there. I mean, Watson's high risk, high reward, I think, right?
yeah. No, I agree. I mean, there's a lot. There's some competition there. So,
What do you
uh,
think is going to happen with Addison?
um, I no, I think he'll be good. I mean, it's just the quarterback play is kind of the question mark.
Well, he
Yeah,
has a DUI now. That's the thing. He's got charge of the DUI.
yeah,
Uh, to me, that's like an automatic 3 game suspension. So I think, you're going to lose a quarter
yeah,
of its production.
yeah. Good call out. I mean, yeah. I mean, I haven't heard anything yet, but usually that's how it plays out. Some sort of suspension there.
But I feel like that's already baked into his price. He was going a lot higher than this 80 before the 3 game suspension. So he's kind of a good deal here. I like these players. I like TJ Hawkinson, Rashee Rice. I like these guys that are discounted because of risk. And then because really all I want is the best team in week 17.
Yeah. What about you know Jackson Smith down a little bit further?
Yeah,
Seattle.
JSN. Yeah, JSN, he had a disappointing rookie year by a lot of people's standards, but it was okay. He wasn't a total bust. They have a new offensive coordinator. I think he'd be better with Sam Howell in there instead of Geno Smith, and that could happen. So I like GSN. You know, at least we've seen him on the field, right? So we know he's not Quentin Johnson. Like we know he's not a total bust. And that's the risk. Like Lad McConkey,
Right.
I'm hearing all great things. Like he could just totally not be good. He could be Harry McNeil, right? Or Harry Neal from the Patriots. So
Yeah.
I feel like JSN is the safer bet. Brian Thomas, I think, could have some big touchdowns, though, you know.
Mhm.
Deontay, you can make a great case for Deontay.
What
But
about what about Rome at the top?
yeah, I mean, Rome, you know,
Rookie quarterback. So that's the gamble.
I think
If they
Caleb,
care, they could be clicking.
yeah, I think, Rome went, but I'm pretty high on Rome. I would take Rome if he was there for us. I like him the best of all the rookies just because he was drafted the highest of all the rookies. I think he's closer to Harrison and Neighbors than
Yeah.
he is to these other guys. In I'm drafting all my teams as if Keenan Allen gets hurt by week 4. So if
Yeah.
Keenan Allen's getting hurt, then DJ Moore and Rome are a lot more valuable. All right, you want to go with JSN?
Yeah.
All right, let's just double check for any correlation here. Seattle plays Chicago week 17. We're going to take JSN. It's going to come around to us quick. It'd be great to grab another receiver. That way we'll have 4 receivers through 7 rounds, just like our goal was.
Uh, what are you thinking on Addison? I mean, to your point, it looks like the potential suspension is priced in. See someone that you're drafting around here?
Yeah, I like Addison here. Let's just check for any correlation. So basically, when it comes to breaking ties, if one of these players was playing against one of our players
Mm,
in week 17, that would be a good tiebreaker to take them instead.
yeah.
They're not. I've got memorized the week 17, 16, and 15 schedules, and kind of look at these for these. There's actually an overlay that puts on the screen the schedule for them. I'll probably have that for us if we're going to draft in the future. That way we know those games. So Minnesota plays Green Bay week 17.
Yeah.
I love our build, structure wise, we're in a great shape with 4 receivers at this point.
All right. So we're on the board.
We're on the clock. We'll grab Addison. Let's just double check for any bye week problems, which we don't have. We got those nicely spread out.
Yeah.
So we're in great shape right now, and we can just kind of take the value that the board gives us in this next round.
Hmm.
I still wouldn't rule out Burrow late, by the way. I don't love a second quarterback, but we do have to make a point to try to get Goddard.
Yeah.
So that would be this is the reason we take Goddard is we have to figure out a scenario where we win week 17 with Jalen Hurts. Well, he could run in a touchdown, and we want to expand that bet as best we can because we've already made that bet. He could throw a touchdown to Goddard, right? So then we would want to have Goddard, right? So the players we have, we want to be thinking through how we've already made that bet. How can we double down and expand that bet? What else is likely to be happening in that game? Philly plays Dallas week 17. So we could paint a picture where, like, hey, maybe Ferguson or Brandon Cooks gets a touchdown. They're both on the board still, right? So those would be guys we'd be looking at to go with our Philly bet. Hurts is such a good runner, though. He's one of the few quarterbacks we could tolerate naked. And I don't want to have Goddard in the queue because I don't want to accidentally take him early.
Yeah. So what's the best available? So this all positions right now that's showing?
Yeah, so this is everything that's shown. This is the zone I was showing you here going into the 8th round. There's no receivers besides JMO. It's all running backs pretty much here for a
Yeah.
while.
Now who would you lean towards for running back?
I take a lot of Jonathan Brooks. I look for explosiveness, right? So Jonathan Brooks is a big, he's a mystery box. Could be also, right? I'm swinging for the home run here. Jalen Warren, I think, has explosiveness. If Najee gets hurt, Warren has a path to be a top 10 running back. we would look at Zach Moss because he goes with our Chase bet, right?
Mm.
Think about what's happening in that week 17 game against Denver. Chase is scoring, then they're smashing Zach Moss to run out the clock, right? So I would like Moss
Yeah,
with this team. Connor worries me. He gets hurt every year. Um,
yeah, he's getting
Zamir
old.
White, Zamir White's not being used in the passing game, and the Raiders are just going to be a bad team, I think. So I'm not
Yeah.
thrilled with Zamir. These guys are kind of off the board for us. Burrow, if Burrow comes back around in our next pick, the 10th round, we
Mm.
could take him. Probably the T. Higgins team will grab him. Swift, I just don't think Swift is good. Mostert last year is the only year he didn't get hurt. I
Mm.
I think Mostert has big upside, right? So he's
Yeah,
on the list to consider here.
we do have 18, so although they both blew up at times last year, so it's hard to predict.
Yeah,
He's not truly like a backup, you know what I mean? He has his own independent value just based on the explosiveness of that offense.
yeah. But this is a great example because we took A Chain in the second round. We're betting that A Chain's going to be healthy all year and have an awesome year. So we wouldn't make sense for us to take Mostert. Mostert is like a hedge, and you
He's,
don't want to hedge in a tournament against 500,000 people. You need to draft like you're right.
but he's a hedge, but he had a huge year last year. I mean, I know 18 was out a little bit, but even when they were in together, they both had some pretty big games.
Yeah. Yeah, A Chain, I mean, Mostert was awesome last year. You're right. He was a league winning pick last year. All right, so a lot of those guys went, huh? We're down to Mostert or Swift. I guess I like Mostert from this group. I really don't like Tony Pollard.
Yeah,
These guys are everything went. Wow.
yeah,
Um, I go Brian Robinson in this. I think Washington's offense is going to be good.
yeah.
What do you like?
No, I think that's a good, I think that's a good call.
Let's just see what other positions are here because that cleared out fast.
Yeah,
Bowers
it's
is
good.
still
Yeah,
here. I don't mind grabbing Bowers, even though we don't need another tight end. I think Bowers would be best player available. Well, let's take Brian Robinson, lock in our second running back. To me, there's kind of a tier break, and I see Robinson on the wrong side of that.
mm,
See him as much worse than Zach Moss or even Mostert has big upside potential. Like to me, Brian Robinson is like he's the best player left, but a clear tier breakdown. So I might have considered Bowers there, but we don't really need a tight end. You can play your tight end at flex. At this point, if Burrow comes back to us, because
mm.
we're in if we look at the
Yeah, what
draft
pick is it
board,
now?
we're
Yeah,
in the hundreds now, I think. Right? Our next pick is 99.
all right, yeah. So
So Burrow would be a great value. It's a lot spending that much capital on quarterback is something I don't
only,
normally like
it's
to
only
do.
two picks away. So
Yeah, I think Burrow just went though.
did he?
Where's this? Yeah.
Button. Oh yeah, he did just go. Yeah, missed that.
Probably Bowers is the best available player. You have any faith in Tony Pollard?
He was off a little bit last year. I mean, but he's a dual threat. So it's just tough to predict, like in Tennessee's offense, what he's going to do.
Yeah, I like Spears over him. To me, Spears is younger and looked good and on the rise last year. Pollard looked awful last year.
Yeah,
Uh,
agree.
but I think we'll take Bowers here as our flex. There'll be running backs coming back around
Yeah,
when we get into the handcuffs. I love Trey Benson, Blake Corum. I think both those guys will get their chance.
yeah,
Remember, we're building for week 17. So by week 17, a lot of these running backs are going to be playing.
right.
A
Well,
great
that's
thing to look for is like a team they're eliminated and they just want to see what they got in that running back.
or even just I mean, even just an injury could kind of sets you apart from what others do. A little bit of a gamble, but with big upside,
Yep, exactly.
especially as you get into these later rounds.
Let's just hop over to our
How many receivers do we have? We have four.
four receivers. Yeah. Let's put them up here. Chase, Neighbors, JSN, and Addison.
Mm,
Yeah, we could use another good receiver. If Addison gets an early season suspension,
yeah,
that'll be a problem. I mean, we could, our picks kind of come two at a time almost, right? So we really need to get one running back and one receiver here.
yeah. I think about Pollard on the way back.
Oh, I'm sure he's long gone. He was the top player on our last pick.
Yeah,
He'll be 20 picks before it's
Spears is still there.
Yeah, Spears is there. Singletary's there. Cooks plays in our Philly game. Goddard's still there too. I don't really want a third tight end.
What do you think of Benson?
I'm very high on Benson.
And you get Javante Williams too. I mean,
Yeah, he's really fallen. There's been some reports that the other running backs are stealing the show there, but I mean, he's still at this price, he's still a pretty good value. He's a starting running back.
right, right. Sometimes that stuff is overblown. It's tough to get a read in the preseason,
Yeah,
and it's really early too. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, Jaleel McLaughlin, is tiny. He's not going to be a featured running back. He's
right,
just not built for that.
no, he's
He kind
changing.
of went off in the middle of last year, and I scooped him up on waivers, and then he did nothing the rest of the year.
Yeah. Uh, and who's around for wide receivers? Pretty slim pickings, huh?
Yeah, we're getting into this tier of guys, Judy or Josh Downs. I like to look for who's the guy that has at least a potential to be the number one receiver. And that's why I actually like Polk from this group. Are you hearing anything in Boston about Polk?
Not yet. It's too early.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, and then uncertain quarterback position. It's hard to say. It's always tough with like rookie wide receivers unless you're like. I mean, there's always the breakouts, but I think the more guarantee ones are the ones that are going earlier in the draft.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
level.
I like Javon Baker's draft profile better than Polk's anyways.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one of those Patriots receivers to be the star, we're on the clock.
Javante.
Javante. I like Corum's upside, but he might still be there at our next pick. We'll take Javante just to lock in another starter. We do have 2 week 14 buys now. It's not too bad though. Just got to make sure our next one's not a week 14. Here's how I look at this is with Polk and these receivers is whoever the Patriots number one receiver is at the end of the year, that guy is going to do better than this group of guys. But we don't know which guy is going to be that guy.
So Gabe Davis is a guy like when I read about best ball, they're like, you want a guy like that just blows up, but then he does nothing for like a bunch of weeks. But new change of scenery in Jacksonville. What are your thoughts on Gabe Davis?
Yeah, I think I like to mix in some Gabe Davis. There's a scenario where he was just underutilized in Buffalo. That the reason he was so up and down is Allen was throwing the ball to Diggs. Diggs was demanding the ball.
Yeah,
Davis got paid a lot. If they didn't draft Brian Thomas Jr., I would be so high on Davis.
yeah,
The fact that they then went out and drafted another receiver, I'm like, now this is getting messy.
yeah.
Right? Because Davis, he could be the fourth option on that team. If it goes Kirk, it's number one, Ingram,
Mm,
Thomas. Are we drafting a fourth string receiver here? That's like the downside spot to this. I didn't like that draft pick for Gabe and for Jacksonville as a whole.
mm.
We're on the clock. We'll take Davis here. I think he fits good with what we're trying to do. He is great for best ball. You make a great point on that. We got to be thinking about who our second quarterback's going to be. We want it to stack up with one of our receivers. So we're looking at Gino, McCarthy, or Danny Jones down the end. We got to make sure they don't have the same buy as Jalen. We don't, because we're going to be a two quarterback build. All right, we got quite a ways
Mm.
to go on this here, but I get why Jacksonville GM needs Trevor Lawrence to be better this year. That's like their whole job security is around Trevor Lawrence. So
Yeah.
so it makes sense why they just are loading up some more receivers for him.
Yeah. Is he still on the board? What's left for quarterback? I see Herbert there. I mean,
Yeah, Herbert's still
just a
there.
bye week though, right? Is
Yeah, exactly. So he's off our board. He just went anyways. We can pretty much wait it out on quarterback, get Jones or
what do you think about Aaron Rodgers coming back? I mean, you know, got a lot of weapons in New York. I mean, he doesn't line up with our receivers, so that's the downside.
yeah, that would be the problem. Like if we were to go for Rodgers, we'd have to take Malachi Corley at this point.
Mm,
He just doesn't fit with this team. I mean, I think you make a good case for him that he's probably the best player of the quarterbacks that are left. I think he has the most upside,
hmm
but he just doesn't match up with our team at all. We could go Raiders quarterback. We don't even know who their quarterback's going to be, though. By the way, there's other thing with this Javante pick. Remember, we said Denver plays Cincinnati week 17, so that there's some correlation there. That's always a plus
Yeah,
in building these teams. We kind of lucked into that.
yeah.
So we still could use another running back. I mean, we're going to look at what the best value is on the board here. We're at pick 134. So Chubb right now is 6 spots past ADP. I haven't been taking a lot of Chubb. I just think he might be done.
Yeah.
I feel like he's like the captain, like the team leader there, so they're keeping him around just for morale. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
don't.
mean, sometimes I was just looking at Eckler, sometimes like those older guys can be gold and have one last season left in them, or they just go late because of the just get discounted a little too heavily. But
Yeah,
so Chubb might be another scenario like that. How old is he now? Is he 28?
yeah, he'll be going into either 29 or 30 this year. I think that's 28's kind of the wall. Last year was Eckler's 28th year. You saw Eckler really fell off the cliff last year.
Yeah, I wonder if that was just usage. He did have some injuries, nicked up a little bit, but he's in phenomenal shape.
Yeah, I mean, I think all football players are in phenomenal shape, but I mean, Eckler does scare me because I don't take him a lot, and it's like he was the number one overall player just 2 years ago. Like, it's definitely if we're thinking about what's his range of outcomes, like he could bounce back. And I
Yeah,
like Washington. I don't think
we
Jalen.
we're on the clock, so we got 15
All
seconds. To,
right, let's take a running back. Who do you like from these groups?
uh,
Want to go Chubb?
yeah, I'd go Chubb. I mean, there's some upside. I mean,
We're swinging for week 17, so maybe
we got the
Chubb's back.
matchup there. Yeah, with Cincinnati,
Well, Chubb would be Cleveland. They play Miami, so he would
Miami.
correlate with our A chain
Yeah,
bet,
yeah.
which is good. All right, so now we probably want to go receiver. What do you like from this group?
Coming slim pickings. Yeah, Thaleen was someone that like really gave me a good run last year, and then he traded him at the right time. But I don't know if he has, you know, anything left in the tank. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
he's
a little
so
bit, but
old. And they brought in Deontay and Leggett, so I feel like he's going to get lost there.
um, Yeah, a lot of like hype around Demario Douglas last year, but I feel like he under delivered, but he could come back this year. But it's tough to predict in New England. Just rookie quarterback. I don't really love any of these guys to be honest, but
Well, let's
there
go. Let's go with Burton, another Bengal, to
you go.
match with our Chase game. I mean, Burton is the guy they said was first round talent, but is like he fell because he has off the field problems.
Yeah.
I think he punched a girl in the face when she stormed the field.
Oh, really? Wow.
I think he's the one that yeah, and then he got kicked off Alabama,
Mm,
went to UCF, University of Central Florida.
yeah.
The Bengals have a track record of taking players like Joe Mixon, who's like always getting into trouble. They
Yeah.
don't seem to care about that stuff. All right, let's just check our bye weeks. We got 3 bye weeks there for receivers. We're looking good. We got 5, 11,
So we need
13
a QB.
picks.
Need another QB.
Yeah, we got 5 picks left. Jones, we're looking at the guys we're looking at go around 16, round 16, Danny Dimes, or I really don't know about McCarthy if he's going to play this year.
Yeah, it's a gamble.
Yeah, if we
Not
take
a big, yeah. Unless it's a running quarterback, I'm not a big fan of gambling on rookie quarterbacks. You just never know.
yeah,
Maybe later on, but not.
yeah, I agree. As a third quarterback, I mean, Gino, what do you think of Gino? He was good 2 years ago.
I mean, there's some talent there, so he he could be primed for a bounce back.
Yeah,
He does pair well with Smith, so I mean, I like upside of Rodgers. I think he could have a big year.
yeah, yeah. We don't have anything that we're stacked with Rodgers.
No, no.
So with our
Even Cousins, I think there's some talent there in Atlanta across the board, wide receiver, running back, tight end. So um, I think there's some potential there, but again, not really stacking up with our team all that well.
right, yeah, with our choices, and this is why your early choices, you want to really be thinking ahead, like what is this going to set me up to later?
Yeah.
Um, the biggest reason, my biggest downside to Geno Smith is I'm worried he won't be playing
Who,
by the end of the year. If
who,
they
who,
if they're doing bad, they're going to put in Sam Howell
yeah.
and see what Sam can do for them. So when I have a quarterback with a week 14 bye, I will never take Geno because I don't think he'll be playing by then. But Hurts has the early bye.
Mm,
So I'm less worried in this build. We want all of our players to be playing in week 17, so it's still bad if we have a zero, in week 17. That's
oh
not
yeah,
good.
that had hurt. Who did the Jets play in Week 17?
They play Buffalo.
Yeah, that's not a great matchup. In Buffalo, or I guess it doesn't
Like
matter.
if we on teams when we pull the 11 pick and get Garrett Wilson, I'm all about Rodgers.
Yeah,
I'll take Rodgers every time on that team, and I'll try to stack them up with some Bills too. Get Josh Allen, like we'll build when you get a Jets team, we'll build those players into it.
yeah. I just think the risk, like you said with Gino, the risk is he gets replaced, later in the year. But Hurts is there, so I mean, I guess it's kind of covered from that perspective. But Rodgers, it's more of an injury. Barring an injury, he should be starting all year long, and I think we'll have a really good year.
Yeah, I mean he's 40 years old and coming off an injury, so
Yeah,
but he's got 2 pieces going in the first round, Brees Hall and
right.
Garrett Wilson, right? That's a lot of talent around him.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't think Mike Williams can hold up. So I actually do like Malachi Corley. Sometimes I'll grab both of them late as a late stack, but it's better to stack with our good players if we can.
yeah,
Sometimes we get boxed out. Like if instead of JSN we took Keon Coleman, we wouldn't have a quarterback option here, right? So
right.
that's another thing that's good about JSN is he opened us up to be able to get Geno for this team.
Yeah.
Let's see. Gino's ADP is 167. Our
A little
next,
bit of a quarterback run here with both Rodgers and Stafford going off the board.
yeah, our next pick is 166. So hopefully Gino goes to us. Yeah, these teams are taking, they took four quarterbacks pretty quick here around this turn. Both
Yeah.
these teams. That's a little weird.
Mm.
Neither one of them had a quarterback, but you see the Rodgers team has Wilson,
Oh
the
yeah.
other team has Puka, right?
Yeah.
So they knew
It's
what
a
they
good
were
stack.
doing.
It's a good late stack.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know what? They got them, they screwed each other. They did them,
Oh, did it really?
they were on the wrong teams.
Yeah, well,
But he did get Cousins with London,
yeah.
I think, right? No, he doesn't even have London. Huh.
Yeah. So much for the stacking.
Well, not everybody knows what they're doing. I mean, the stacking is definitely proven to win. Like I have always been against stacking in like home leagues.
Yeah.
I've never been someone to do it. And last year, most was my first year playing underdog. I refused to stack and I got slaughtered.
Yeah.
I learned the hard way. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna actually follow what works.
I think it depends who you stack with, though. I mean, if you get like two shitty players and you stack them, then you're probably just gonna have a shitty week.
Yeah. Well, here's the situation. Let's make this pick. And
Yeah.
all right, Gino, be happy with that. We'll start thinking about best available RB or receiver. Here's the situation. Imagine we make the finals. It's week 17, $1.5 million to the winner. There's 500 teams left,
Mm.
right? And let's suppose we have Rodgers and he's naked. And
Mm.
let's suppose Roger, in order for us to beat the other 500 teams, we need a big game out of Rodgers. Now, if Rodgers throws a big game, what else has to happen? Somebody has to catch a big game. And
Yeah.
there's going to be one of those 500 teams that has it stacked properly, right? So that's why, like, the naked quarterback can't work because
Yeah.
you need a big game and he can't really have a big game without throwing it to someone. Hurts is kind of the exception because the tush push, he can have a big game on the ground.
Are we
I
up next? We're up again, right?
Yeah, we're up again. Thielen's here past ADP. We like any of these running backs? What do you think of Ray Davis?
I
Actually,
haven't, yeah. Uh,
yeah,
Early to stay. I mean, he's like right now thinking of him as more of a backup. It's hard to get too excited.
I think James Cook is not good. He's not good at running the ball. And Davis will get the goal line carries and could be passing him as the starter by the end of the year. It's not, I would put it at like 70-30, but to me, like Antonio Gibbs is only going to play if Ramonde gets hurt or on passing downs, right? There's, to me, at least Davis has some chance of beating Cook. I think Cook is very vulnerable. I feel the same way with Bucky Irving and Rashad White.
Yeah, but there's like when you have a rushing quarterback, it really kind of takes the air out of it.
Yeah, but I don't think they want to run Josh Allen that much. That's not good for his health. They
Yeah,
had to last year. Damian Harris, they signed to be
yeah.
the goal line back, and he got hurt and had to retire. They didn't want to be using him
I
like
don't
that.
think they wanted to use him as much as they did, but I mean, I think he's still going to vulture 5 or 6, maybe 8.
I mean, he had 15
Easy
last
touch,
year.
easy touchdowns at the goal line. I mean, you know,
Well, Josh Allen had 15 on the ground last year. So if he only gets 8 this year, there's 8 more for somebody else. If they're not going to Cook, I
yeah,
mean, if Ray Davis gets 8 touchdowns, he's a home run at this price.
yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, that's been the frustration with Buffalo, though. It's just, or anytime you have a Russian quarterback, it just kind of dilutes, what everyone else is getting.
Yeah. This year, especially with their receivers, because I don't think any of their receivers are that good.
Yeah. What are you thinking for the next pick?
Well, we got 14 picks here to go. We're at 8, 10, 15. So we have 3 picks left.
3 picks, yeah.
We don't really need any more tight ends or quarterbacks. If a stack lands in our lap in like one of the last picks,
Yeah.
we could consider it. So basically, we're just looking at running back or receiver. All from these next few picks, we're hoping that somebody can give us a 2 touchdown game. So we want to think like who from this list is even possible of having a 2 touchdown game. And if they give us 2 or 3 games a year like that with 15, 20 points, that's a win. That's all you can really expect from these guys.
So this is just pure like upside, Um,
Yeah.
Antonio Gibson is like a, dual threat,
Yeah, he's gone.
I think
I like Gibson. I mean, he was the best player on the board. I mean,
oh yeah, just
to
went.
Mitchell, one of the ways I start to look at these is the possession receivers don't have big games. They get their points, by being consistent. So those kind of slot guys like Tyler Boyd, I think McCaffrey's going to play in the slot. Roman Wilson's kind of a slot. Those are not guys I like. That's why I like Baker. To me, Baker's going to be a big play guy. I don't like Slayton. He's a possession guy. He
Yeah,
doesn't have the big play ability in his playbook. Devontae Walker is a big play guy. I like him. Kind of like Shark. Shark had
yeah,
last year. Shark had a 20-point game
yeah.
down the stretch.
What about Beckham? You think he's got anything left?
Not really.
I don't think so either.
I love that he's going to Miami. Actually, I wish he wasn't there because I would be all over Malik Washington.
Mm.
I feel like they got to play Beckham because they gave him a decent amount of money, but I don't think he's going to play well.
It's an explosive offense. I mean, they can't double team him, so um, I probably wouldn't take them this next pick, but maybe the last pick.
One of the Miami guys to go with A-Chain. Yeah, I mean, we could tell ourselves a scenario like if Tyreek is hurt in week 17, what's happening in that game? Who's stepping up? Maybe Odell,
Yeah,
right?
great
So
offense. So sure they'll scheme ways to get him open. He didn't really do much last year, though. I thought he might have a rebound year, but
Beckham,
yeah,
yeah, that was a great spot for him to shine, and he didn't.
yeah. Been a while since he's really, I mean, he was like top of the food chain, and he really like fell off.
Well, they say he had a good year when the Rams won the Super Bowl, but I don't even remember him on that team.
He was injured that year, so maybe last year he still wasn't 100%. I don't know, but he's starting to get old.
Yeah, I generally stay away from the old players. I'd rather not have a zero.
Yeah,
Jalen Allen, I think, has a lot of upside. If Brees Hall gets hurt, I think Braylon Allen is good. I think
yeah,
that's good offense.
yeah,
Tyrone Tracy. I mean, I don't trust Devin Singletary. I don't think he's that good. So Tracy,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're kind of gambling. If there's an injury or someone that's not as proven as the number one, uh, has a setback. One of these guys could move in. So, yeah, I like that pick.
we'll take Braylon there. All right, we're gonna pull up the receivers. I'll let you make our last pick here. Well, we still have 2 left, actually.
Mm,
We could it might make sense to lean into our Giants thing. We could take Jones and then take another Giants receiver. We'd have Neighbors plus
yeah,
Jones plus a receiver.
Jones still there. Yeah.
Is he actually? He's not, huh?
Or you take like a rookie quarterback and see, like, I don't know if you think any of those guys, like,
Well, we'd have to have or something with them.
yeah.
So really, our only QB would be Raiders QB or
Oh,
McCarthy. I just
we
don't
pick
think
up,
we need another quarterback. I think Jalen Hurts is going to carry us. We have to assume this Geno Smith bet is good. You want to assume every bet you made is good, right? We don't want to be hedging
yep,
in case that was a bad
yep.
bet. We want to assume it's a good bet and build on it.
We have Addison, right? So JJ
Yeah.
McCarthy would be a stack there,
Yeah, but if these
but
guys
he's a gamble.
if these guys are playing all right, then we don't really need them. What about for this Philly game? I'd love to have a
We're
Cowboys receiver.
we're on the clock. We got 15 seconds, so
All
we move
right.
quick. Roshan Johnson, no,
Is he still on the board? All
Yeah.
right, let's take Roshan. And we'll still have one pick left. I think that Dallas could be a place to find a lot of sleepers this year.
Mm.
Someone from this receiving room, I think, could be good. Flournoy is the rookie they took. I think he's like a seventh round pick, but he's like super athletic.
Yeah.
Tolbert or Brooks. I don't know. Do you remember any of those guys from last year? Were they?
I think it's yeah. I mean, nobody's really like jumping out at me. I mean, it's pretty far down.
I mean, Javon Baker's still there if he makes it back around. We got a long ways to go. 15
Yeah.
picks. We could take Hyatt.
What round did Baker go in? Is
Javon Baker's not gone yet.
no, no. What round did he go in the NFL draft?
Oh, in the NFL draft, he was, I think, the fourth round pick.
Yeah, I was gonna say fourth or fifth. Um, yeah, it's a crapshoot. You know, it's hard to say like who's gonna come out of that Patriots wide receiver room. But
Yeah.
it's so
Kendrick
early. I haven't really
Bourne,
heard anything on
oh,
Baker
Bourne
yet.
had some big games for them last year, didn't he? Before he got hurt.
What's that?
Did Kendrick Bourne have some big games for the
Yeah,
Patriots?
Bourne had some good games. You know, is he still? Yeah, I mean, he's still there. So I mean, he might be an option.
Yeah, he's still there. He
And
doesn't even get drafted. People have like completely forgot about him. I don't even think KJ Osborne is a bad pick.
no, yeah, he could have a bounce back. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like when you there's just so much talent sitting there, it's like you know, who's going to be the top of the food chain?
I mean, these Patriots receivers have a chance to be the number one receiver on the team still. There's no other.
I think Bourne out of what's left here is probably the strongest case for that. Um, they re-signed him. You know, he had some good games last year. New coaching staff in place, so you know any bias that was there, you know, is kind of in the doghouse for a little bit last year.
Yeah, it should be better quarterback play.
Yeah,
I mean, I think Jacoby Brissett is decent, you know.
they're gonna. I mean, they're gonna have to throw too, because you know, I think you know they're gonna have to throw. I think they're gonna be behind in a lot of games.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. They're not going to be ahead running out the clock. And the quarterback play will be improved.
Yeah,
All right, we're going to take Bourne. If we get sniped on him, Osborne will be our backup. So let's recap this team here. We got Jalen Hurts, Geno Smith, both top 10 quarterbacks from 2 years ago. A-Chain, B-Rob, Javante, Chubb, Braylon Allen. So we got basically a lot of lottery tickets here, right? If any one of these guys smashes, we'll be in great shape. 3 starting running backs. This is really the strength of the team here. Chase and Neighbors. JSN has a lot of upside. Addison, good spike players here. And then our tight ends. This is even stronger part of the team.
yeah,
What do you think Brock Bowers is going to do this year?
yeah. I think he's got an opportunity to step in there. So yeah, I've been, you know, this is my second draft of the season. So,
Yeah.
but no, I think he'll be good.
Yeah, I love his profile coming out of college.
Yeah,
I mean, he went to Georgia, dominated as a freshman,
yeah,
led to back-to-back national titles. He was the leading receiver on that team,
yeah.
playing, he wanted to take on the best and play the best. I hate his quarterback situation. It's like the worst team he could have possibly went to.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I was thinking. And you know, the other thing with tight end is, you know, well, you know, the rule used to be like, you know, tight ends, you know, aren't going to pop in their first year, but then, you know, you look at last year, and then even Pitts had like a great rookie year, and before he fell off the earth for a couple of years. So, you know, it can happen, you know, with the talent. So I think he's got a good
Yeah.
chance to have a good year.
Yeah, that's a great point. That used to be the old story about tight end. It used to, if you go back even further, they used to say that about rookie receivers. And
Right.
that's been blown out of the water. It's Ja'Marr Chase's rookie year, Puka's rookie year. Like, and if it makes sense, if receivers can do that rookie year, then tight ends can do it. So it makes sense that that story has changed.
Yeah.
All right, we're on the clock. We're gonna get Bourne. Interesting that Osborne went ahead of us, but
Oh
Bourne.
yeah. Yeah. Younger, I guess. Maybe more flash, but I think it's going to be hard for him to supplant Bourne. I mean, Bourne's been there. He's been kind of really like the number three, maybe number two at times. Um, I think that's a good pick.
Yeah, so this is how our draft turned out here. Let's just take a look. So basically, for the regular season, which is weeks 1 through 17 of the NFL season, we're competing against just these 12 guys.
Yeah.
So we kind of want to size up who's doing well in here. Whoops, it closes out. Gotta go pull it up here. And so the top two teams from this pod of 12 will advance to the playoffs. And then you get seeded into a new team of 12. And that's where in the as the playoff round starts, oh, this is not there.
Yeah, that's it right there, I think.
Yeah.
Is it?
As the playoff round starts, so when you get into the playoffs in that new group of 12, there could be teams that have the same players as you, right? Because you didn't all draft together. But for the opening part of the season, we're competing against just these 12 guys.
Yeah.
So one of the things, like my vision for how they could grow this, like it'd be awesome if like there was a group chat with these 12 guys. There was some way to know who they are. And have some fun cheering each other, razzing each other. Obviously, there's no free agency or anything,
Right.
but you never know who any of these people are. And maybe some people don't want to deal with that, right? I have over 500 teams. If I was in 500 group chats, that would be absurd.
Yeah.
But for some of them, it'd be nice to, get to meet some of these people. Let's just look through these teams, see if any of them look particularly interesting. So the unstacked teams are not playing right. So we're going to be able to beat them a lot easier in this. So I'm kind of looking to see who else is unstacked. Of course, they're thinking the same thing about us, that we have Hurts unstacked.
Right.
Um, yeah, this was an interesting pick here. This guy that took Mahomes early, way ahead of ADP, ahead of Josh Allen and Hurts. I don't really get where he was going. He grabbed Rashee Rice to go with him at least.
So how many teams go to the next round? Is it two teams out of the 12?
Yeah, top 2 out of 12.
Up two. And then it's probably like, that's where you start to see like a lot of like overlap. The teams that win are going to have a lot of the same players. And
Yeah, it
then,
was like all CMC and CeeDee Lamb teams last year,
yeah,
right? Across the board. Those were the teams that like made it to the finals.
yeah,
And so they kind of neutralize each other because everybody has them when you get into the playoffs.
yeah.
Last year there was a week 17, Detroit was playing Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like the pick all the Sharks were making because you could get at the end of round one, you could get CD and Amon Ra, and you'd have two stud receivers in the week 17 matchup.
Yeah. Now, when you hit the playoffs, is it just a blank slate? Everybody starts from zero, or if you had more points, do you carry those points into the next round?
No, there's no carryover. Everybody has 0. You're put into a new pod of 12. And then again, top 2 advance.
Okay.
And then you start again at 0. So that's week 15. Then week 16 is the same. And then by week 17, it's 550 something teams.
So all the teams that are left, and then how many take prize money? Is it top 5, 10?
Every tournament's different. The one that I've studied is Best Ball Mania, which is not the one we're in now. I haven't even had time to look at what this one is. But in Best Ball Mania, well, every team that makes the finals makes in Best Ball Mania, we should just look up this tournament that we're actually in. and see what the prize pot is here. Let's just pull it up in another browser. In Best Ball Mania, every team that makes the finals gets $3,500. And that Best Ball Mania is $25 to enter.
Mm.
And the top 20 get 100 grand.
Okay.
And then first prize is 1.5 million. And then second prize is 1 million. So it's pretty flat. It's 15
Yeah,
million total in prizes.
it's a good pool.
Yeah, let's look at BBM. This is like their most famous tournament. The one we just did is this one.
The 300,000 in prizes, smaller scale, but smaller entry fee.
Yeah, so it'll be less competitive. A lot of the biggest sharks, the big players don't even bother with these tournaments too, so it won't be as
Mm.
crazy. Here's the formula. It's not quite what I was saying. It's 2 of 12, then
Yeah.
it's 1 of 10, 1 of 5, and 225 in the final.
Okay.
And then the payout, I don't know why this is so hard to read. It's so small.
There you
First
go.
prize is 30,000, second prize 20,000.
It goes down a little ways.
20th place is 2,000. I mean, there goes all the way out
Oh
to
wow, it goes down, so you can even get your money back. Some
this
of
must
these.
be, I think this is if you advance, if you win, if you're one of the top two in your pod, you advance and you get your money back. And
Yeah.
then this is the cutoff. If you make it out of week 15 and get to week 16, you doubled your money.
There's no bragging rights to get your money back though. You want to be in the top 20.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
Scoring roster. Yeah, let's just look at BBM for comparison. So 672 entrants.
Yeah.
It is 2 of 12, 1 of 13, 1 of 16, 539 final.
So
Five.
those other weeks are pretty important too. It's like not just 17. You got to like really crush it along the way.
Yeah, week 15, 16, and 17 are all important, but really you want to build for week 17 is what if you make it to week 17, you want to have a team that's capable of
Yeah.
taking down the whole pot. Because if we look at the prize payouts for this BBM we were looking at, the 1.5 million is first, like we were saying,
Yeah.
right? There's just so much money on the line that if you get there, you want to be able prime to win it.
You almost want to do like a, triple stack or whatever, like, be stacked for 15, 16, and 17. So you have a little bit of something like, you know, playing for each of those weeks. It's hard to do though, because like by the time you get to the, through the first few rounds, there's probably not much left to plan
Yeah,
out that well. But ideal scenario if you had like some good stacks, like with those teams, or find the teams that have really good 15, 16, 17 like schedules, or at least two out of the three. That gives you a
yeah,
little bit of something to bank on. I haven't really, it's early. I haven't looked at the schedule for all the teams, but that would be
yeah.
something to look at. Is like which teams have that late, really really good late schedule.
Yeah, yeah, you're exactly right. And this is the schedule on the screen here. I've studied and memorized it all.
Yeah,
And that's where I think the strong points and weak parts are already.
yeah,
And you're thinking the right ways, and it's a matter of piecing it together. It's like a puzzle, right? That's what makes it so fun. And
yeah.
and then like not only do you have to come up with the right strategy, you have to be able to get those players without reaching. I love this quad here because
Mhm.
these teams all play each other. The interesting thing with what you're saying is let's suppose I say I like the Falcons schedule. These 3 games, I
Mm,
think are fantastic games for them.
yeah,
So I have drafted a few teams. I've tried this, so I'll build a Falcons team I'll have maybe Bijan, Pitts. It's hard to get Bijan and Drake. Bijan, Pitts, London, Rondell Moore, and then I'll get a few players from here, a few players from here, a few players from here. The problem with that is in week 17, the only correlation I have is these two. So I'm under optimized compared to the other teams that are going to be there.
Mm.
And so, but there doesn't mean it just means you have to work the Rubik's Cube a little more. Like, and so what I actually wind up doing is I take it from the Washington side. I'll build Washington's Falcons. I'll still take Falcons. I'll take Jaden Daniels and McLaurin. I'll throw in an Eagle and a Saint. I'll build it out this way.
Yeah.
And then I'll build it out this way because Falcons play Giants,
Mhm.
right? So and I'll just try to cross them as much as you can.
Yeah.
I'll give you another example. So Cowboys Eagles. I love if I go CD Lamb first round, I'm gonna try to get Devonta Smith second round. I got stud correlation here. I'll get Dak or Jalen Hurts. I'm building here. I want to get Mike Evans in the third round, so I'm building that my CD Lamb Mike Evans with the
Yeah.
Bucks. This one's great because the next one is Carolina, and Bucks and Carolina play week 17. So if I add in a Carolina piece, Leggett, Deontay late, I'm building this stack this way, and I'm building week 17 stack. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is the best one up here because these are all cross-reference. So I love when I get JJ first round, Jefferson, I'll get him in the first round. I go Metcalf and DJ Moore. And people are like, what are you doing? Those aren't correlated, but I'm actually setting it up. I've got one Viking, one Seahawk, one Bear. Well, Seahawks play Bears, right? Bears play Vikings.
Yeah.
And all I need, then I'm going to add Jordan Love and some Packers. And now I got Packers play Vikings and Seahawks, right? So I've built out like this whole quad here with lots of possibilities for this. Usually I'll throw in some Bears. Like I said, DJ Moore, Caleb with that team as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a fun one to look at. This Texans Ravens game, week 17, I think is going to be very high scoring. I like that
Yeah.
matchup a lot.
Good matchup. Yeah.
It's funny. I mostly take these, so I actually put the Colts over here, even though this is supposed to be NFC and this AFC, but the Colts one just fits over here better.
Mm.
So when I get neighbors, I'll try to set up a team with neighbors and AR from the Colts. Maybe get some Colts receivers and neighbors. Now I got Giants Colts
Mm.
here, and then I'll try to add in some more of these players. This Bengals Denver one is a good one too. I really think that's a great week 17, Matt. I just think the Bengals are going to roll down the stretch. I don't think Cleveland is going to be good by then. The Titans, I don't think are going to be good. I think the Bengals could be rolling um, down the stretch.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've looked at it from a lot of different angles. It's been a lot of fun. I'm trying to see where that one is where I
I
looked
don't
at.
know how you keep it straight with 500 teams.
Well, I mean, this is the way I manage the teams, right? I manage, so I'm looking at my exposure. This is how much of these players I have.
Yeah.
And if someone is yellow, I want to get more of them. Like I don't want my Bijan is at 6%. I want to get it. 8% is average because there's 12 players in every round. 12 times 8 is almost 100, right?
Mm.
So like A chain, I want more of, even though I'm at 14.7, I want to get more of him. The players that are in orange, I feel like I have enough of.
Mm.
And then these reds, I'm pretty much fading the guys that are in red. I'm not barely taking them at
Mm.
all. So I manage it from this end, from a portfolio end. And then I also each tournament I make my own sheet for it. So this is like a tournament. This is a $2 tournament. It's not on Underdog, it's on another site.
Mm.
So I have all my teams in here. So let's suppose we get a chase team, right? I know you find out where you're going to pick, you make your pick. I got Chase. Then I want to look at
Yeah.
what are my other combinations I have with Chase. So I have a lot of Chase Evans. I don't want that anymore, right? I'll take somebody different.
Yeah.
There I got a few Chase Ayuks, right? A couple Chase JT. So I just organize them like this
Yeah.
so that I can see what I have in my portfolio and what other unique combinations I can build into my portfolio.
You get a lot of Burrows.
Yeah, whenever I get Chase, I go for Burrow. In
Yeah.
fact, the reason I take so much Chase on this is I Burrow is like so low. Like I think Burrow is mispriced. So
Yeah.
part of my plan is like to identify some players I think are mispriced and then try to build around them. Like I think Burrow, to me, last year Burrow was going in the fourth round. He's the same guy coming back this year. Now
Yeah.
he's going in the ninth round. That's crazy. To me, Burrow is mispriced. So if I know I'm going to try to get Burrow later on, what do I need to take early on to set that up? Either Chase or Higgins.
Yeah. Well, didn't work tonight. You got Hurts.
Hey, yeah,
I
but
like Hurts. I think
yeah, yeah, Hurts is the number one quarterback on my board. So, and the fact that he runs so much makes it okay to have him unstacked like that. It's not ideal, but it's unique too. You know, we want to build teams that nobody else has, and I think that that is a unique lineup. So,
yeah.
yeah, this was fun.
Good time. Good time. All
Cool, man.
right.
Well, yeah, appreciate hanging out with you. Let's definitely plan to do this again. And I'm gonna turn off the live stream. Hey, if you're watching this on the replay and you want to join us for next time, just leave a comment and we'll drop you the Zoom link. We'd love to draft with you and get to know you and make some friends as we're delving into best ball strategy here.